So, good evening. He's a bit weird, isn't he? So I come from a family of failed magicians. I've got two half-sisters. Milton Jones isn't my whole name. My whole name's Milton 79 Heathfield Road Jones. Because my dad heard you could save tax if you put your house in your son's name. What a day it's been! Spent the morning attaching a lock to the front of my house to slow down burglars who arrived by barge. Well done. Then no one turned up to the first meeting of my sarcasm club, despite loads of people saying how much they were looking forward to it. What else can I tell you about myself? Where are you up to? Half-sister. Give her a minute. I used to live in a flat with 3 girls, but one day they found out. This afternoon I gave some ice cubes to some junior doctors as their placards demanded. Turns out they wanted justice. I need to... It's just ice. Got here by train. The whole journey there was a child opposite screaming. I could even hear him through my wolf mask. Then a stewardess got on. She said,
"Do you mind if I do my makeup on the train?"
I said, well, it's still going to look like a train, isn't it? And a bloke recognised me.
He went, it's you, isn't it?
I said, yes.
He said, you're probably going to put this in one of your skits.
I said, it's not really entertaining enough. Anyway, we were both right. Anyone here from outside the United Kingdom? Is there some kind of UKIP rally? Anyone ever left Blackpool? Anyone ever been abroad? Where did you go? Pardon? Jesus? So where? Are you translating? Mongolia? Which bit? What's that? You haven't really thought this through, have you? I've just come back from America.
Whoa.
You should have come to my sarcasm club. All the way across on the flight, my wife was going, why don't you get an upgrade? Why don't you get an upgrade? Took a bit of time, but in the end I got a better wife. Sometimes people ask me where I get my shirts. Once a year, I travel to the Himalayas. I walk 4 days into the mountains, climb the tallest mountain. There's a cave at the top, there's a hermit who lives in it, and he orders them for me on the internet. My brother, he's in his final year if he doesn't stop annoying me. It's not his fault. When he was young, he fell into a snow globe. Managed to survive, just badly shaken. My grandfather, he's staying with us at the moment. He's got a black eye. I knew his room was too small for a cuckoo clock. My other grandfather, very proud of him, he was involved in a very successful surprise bombing raid over Germany. About 10 years after the war. My other grandfather, that's the joke. My other grandfather, we knew things were serious for him when he had to have a camera inserted internally, but he was annoying the wedding photographer. My other grandfather, I always remember him saying, "You selfish boy." Not long after that, I became a fishmonger. My other grandfather, he was one of the last people to have one of the old lead pacemakers. Died quite recently. Lovely man. Buried him with a heavy heart. Well done. Justice. My grandmother, my enduring memory of her, she would give us raisins. Birthdays, Christmas, always raisins. In fact, we used to call her Peshwari Nan. My other grandmother, she's been talking about downsizing, and now she's in a little urn. Any students here? What are you studying? Helium? That's a good course. People speak very highly. What are you studying? Pardon?
Nursing.
Nursing? Ah. What are you going to do with that? This is just off the top of my head. You can become a nurse. My mum was a nurse, my dad was a doctor. They had 6 children, we all left home early. Well, they needed the beds. I remember that birthday, I asked for that game, Operation. 3 years I waited. I think the most peaceful Christmas I remember was when my mother mistakenly covered the cake with temazepam. I was talking to a nurse the other day. She said the main problem facing the NHS is obesity. Actually, she might have said obesity. But she was eating a cake at the time. First job I ever had was washing dishes at an international radar station, but the dishes were a lot bigger than I thought they were. That was quite a stir-fry we had. Don't talk to me about unemployment. I come from a tiny fishing village in Derbyshire. Sometimes people... It's not near the sea. Sometimes people ask me where I get my trousers. Once a year, I travel to South America. I walk 4 days into the jungle. Eventually I come to the tallest tree. There's a tree house on the top. There's a hermit who lives in it. And he phones the other hermit in the Himalayas. He orders them for me on the internet. You need to know, ladies and gentlemen, I've spent some time in the secret services. You know, the ones between Swansea and Cardiff on the M4. Where all the signs are encrypted. I'm not in Welsh. I'm not quite sure why I lost my job with MI5 as an interrogator, and I didn't like to ask. Maybe it was that time I was in charge of an elite squad and we had to put bombs under ships in the harbour, and I accidentally filled all our breathing equipment with nitrous oxide. I mean, we laughed about it at the time. Maybe it was that other occasion. I woke up in the middle of the night. There was a beautiful woman in my bedroom. I said, "Who are you? What do you want?" She looked at me and said, "Nikita." And sure enough, when I woke up in the morning, my radiator was missing. Forget it. What is nationality anyway? My aunt, she's almost Irish. Her name's Iris. You need to ask, what's been driving Brexit? I mean, it feels like the Duke of Edinburgh. Britain has always had great cities. London. Blackpool seems like a nice place. Where? Fleetwood. Relax everyone, I'm going to handle this. I've got a cousin who lives in Fleetwood. Keeps all his money under a mattress on the grounds that no thief would ever think of looking in the front garden. Told you. I was just north of London the other day, and it turns out, like a lot of people these days, that I'm gluten intolerant. Sheffield, that's an amazing place. Well, you'll know that years ago, the citizens of Sheffield not only used to have to make the steel, they used to have to sell it as well. So in a very real way, he who smelt it, dealt it. Any teachers here? What'd you teach? children. See me afterwards. Anyone not a supply teacher? Teach an actual subject? Yeah, what subject? What? Maths! Wow. Strange, isn't it, though? 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. But 0 times 0 is a small brown cube you make gravy out of. I went back to my old school the other day. It was strange being back there. The smell of varnish, the echo of the science lab. The memory of the fire engines. I was shown into the Phoenix Hall, which wasn't there in my day. In my day, the place was run by a bloke with no arms and no legs and no body. It was called a head. If he wasn't available, there was this other bloke with no arms and no legs and no body and a cowboy hat. There was Mr. Brown. Between you and me, ladies and gentlemen, I was bullied at school. By pirates. You're not helping. Once at school, my bike was smashed up. It was my own fault, really. I just handed out leaflets saying, bullying, let's break the cycle. Sometimes people ask me where I get my shoes. Once a year, I travel to the Antarctic. I walk 4 days into the ice. Eventually get to an igloo. There's a hermit who lives in it on a frozen lake. Although he was supposed to come to me this year. Apparently the babysitter fell through at the last minute. It's lovely to have been here. Strange, isn't it, when you first meet someone, you think, oh, orange lipstick, that's quirky and individual. But when you actually live with them, you find out it's just because they eat lots and lots of spaghetti bolognese. Me and my wife, we argue sometimes. You've left the lid up, you've left the lid up. Yes, but what if it's a man, the next person to use the toilet? It's a pedal bin, it's a pedal bin. It was her birthday recently. Took her to an orchard in Somerset. We stood for about 20 minutes. Not the Apple Watch she wanted. Sometimes people ask me how I know so many hermits. Once a year, I travel to the International Hermit Conference in Coventry. Well done. Nick Heater. I leave you tonight with this. Never ever do any washing up in your entire life. I've got 4 rooms full of this stuff. I'm just waiting for a close relative to die and a neighbour to come round and say, listen, if there's anything I can do. Have a great night, that's all for me.